Hello everyone, I am Braw's love for tabletop role-playing and fantasy adventure games. Today, I just wanted to talk about 1D&D, the new playtest material. I have it here all printed out. It was the 1D&D is this concept. It was released by Wizards of the Coast. It was just mentioned a couple weeks back now. I think it's been like 2 weeks ago. But I was in a unique position when this got originally announced. It got announced, I think it was on like Tuesday or I think it was a Thursday when it was originally announced, and I had a game scheduled with new players who had never played 5th edition D&D before. I had a game scheduled with them, and I had already created a character for this introductory game. I was not going to be DMing at this time. Someone else was going to be DMing. And when all this was announced for 1D&D, we decided to give the playtest material, use that as a launching point for teaching new players 5th edition, because now it's going to be called 1D&D. It's not going to be a 5.5 or whatever. It's just going to be one collective thing that 5th edition, like a 5th edition base is what it's going to go forward as, and everything going forward will all work under the same umbrella. I highly doubt that. I think it will last maybe 5-7 years, something like that. Then they'll rebrand or whatever. That's just how it is. That's just the business of selling books and stuff. But let's talk first about what this actually was before it's been alluded to that it's brand new, right? It is. It's new. It's 1D&D, but what it actually just was. It's very simple. Wizards of the Coast just bought D&D Beyond, right? So what you want to do is you want to make a huge announcement. 1D&D is a pretty big announcement. And then you want to just put all your Unearthed Arcana on D&D Beyond. Have everybody go there. Have everybody have to make accounts to log in, download. You just want to force traffic to D&D Beyond. That's what this is. This isn't even close to being done. This isn't even really a play test. You can't really do anything with this. You still need the book. There's no monster. You can't do anything with this. There's no play test here. This isn't like try out 1D&D. You can't with this, right? So let's just get that out of the way. This is a marketing stunt to push people towards D&D Beyond. All it is an Unearthed Arcana, right? Unearthed Arcana used to just be on the Wizards site. Now it's not. Now it's on D&D Beyond. They just need they need to be able to say for their stock, at their quarterly reports at the end of the year, they can say, look at the influx of people to D&D Beyond. We need to push D&D Beyond. Look at all these new we're creating all these new users. Everyone's all going here. Everyone's excited for D&D Beyond. We're gonna sell a whole bunch of stuff via D&D Beyond. They're launching a new storefront. That's what this is. This is very not complete. This is literally just something for you to give feedback on. This is just, tell us what you think of this. It's bare bones stuff. So with that out of the way, that's what this was. Now let's actually talk about it. The concept of 1D&D is good in some cases. So I have been playing Dungeons & Dragons for a long time. I've played other tabletop role-playing games. As you can see here, I've got AD&D. This is the Dungeon Master's Guide for AD&D. Here is the Player's Handbook. This is the 3rd edition Player's Handbook, right? This is not 3.5. That's a 3rd edition Player's Handbook. This is a 3.5. You can see it says 3.5. This is what a Player's Handbook for 3.5 looks like. They changed the sides here, so there's different lettering. That's how you can tell what a 3.5 book is and what a 3rd edition book is, because they weren't 100% compatible. Stuff from 3.0 does not really work with 3.5. They had Unearthed Arcanas. They actually had them. You could print out errata supplements that would tell you how to use some of the books. I think one of the ones they really wanted was Manual to Planes and the Epic Level Handbook, which were were not 3.5 books, but they wanted rules to make those 3.5 because those were things they probably didn't want to reprint, right? Those were the newest books before 3.5 came out. But then 3.5 had Pathfinder. 3.5 was really popular. When 4th edition came out, it wasn't as popular. So Pathfinder, it was the open source, open gaming license or whatever. Pathfinder just was like 3.75 or whatever, and fourth edition was another, not really that super great. And then they printed again. This is the third this is a second releasing after fourth was kind of like failing. They were just like, well, let's just release 3.5 books again. So this is like the third printing of 3.5 handbooks or whatever. It's a mess, right? It was hard to tell what books are what. It's just a mess. So 1D&D is great concept in general, right? Then, I got my player's handbook here. 5th edition eventually came out. This is the first printing player's handbook. There's actually been, I think, 3 printings now of it with minor rules and stuff. I've got different ones. I don't even know. I can't even tell the difference between those. I have to look at the print date, but that's what it was. So one of the biggest complaints about what this is, I've noticed some people are saying they're trying to simplify 5th edition. Yeah, that's normal. Of course they are. I'm assuming that the people who are making those are new players, right? 5th edition is great. 5th edition is my favorite edition. I love 3.5 to death. I love AD&D. 4th edition, I barely ever played. Don't even think I've ever made it to combat because the rules were so ridiculous and so lengthy that like even social encounters had rules. So that was a terrible system. No one liked it. Pathfinder is great. I played other non-D&D stuff, but yes, that's just what games are. You get rules down so they're more approachable, and then more people play your game. So the concept of 1D&D is so much easier, and the rules are so much lighter. They're making 5th edition so much easier. They're dumbing down the game. Yeah, you must have only played 5th. 5th is like the easiest version of D&D there's been. And yeah, this is a little more streamlined and a little more simplified from this. But compared to this and Pathfinder, look at this. This is a PDF that I printed. The rules compendium. This is 3.5. There is hundreds of pages of rules. This isn't even a supplement book. There is like 160 pages of just rules. I printed off so I could make my own screen and stuff, right? There's just rules in 3.5 that are just so absurd and ridiculous and never come up. So yeah, obviously they're gonna scale back the rules. Good. That is great. I would love a more streamlined version of Dungeons and Dragons. Full 100% accept that. So let's look at the actual stuff. What is this? The play test that we ended up getting was just basically like a character creation. So I have everything here. So when you look at, it says just right here, this is playtest material, right? It's just, you need to go to D&D Beyond. It says it right on here that you need to go to D&D Beyond. Everything about this is just filtering through D&D Beyond. That's what this all is about. It is neat. They don't say 5th edition handbook here. They say the 2014 player's handbook. When you determine your origin, these rules tell you after choosing your character's class. So let's talk about creating a character and then using these supplements to convert it from 5th, knowing full well that I would be the only one who had played D&D of any kind in this game, not role-playing. Some of the players had played Call of Cthulhu, so that's pretty par for the they should understand role-playing and dice rolling and checks and all those things, so it should be a very difficult teach to go from Call of Cthulhu to 5e. Not difficult at all, actually. So the concepts are there for these players. But going into it, when you play that, the way I like to do it is I wanted to create a character where I could stay in character, continue to try to role play, to encourage the table to role play, to do all those kind of things, but still help a new player out. So the best way of doing that, it was going to be a fighter, a rogue, and a druid that were going to be at the table. So I made a cleric. Now, the best way I could think of to be able to still push for role playing and still be able to use meta knowledge and things was I made a knowledge cleric from 5th edition. So what you get is you get this blessing of knowledge. At first level, you learn 2 languages of your choice. You also become proficient in your choice of 2 of the following skills: Arcana, History, Nature, or Religion. Your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check that you make that uses either of these scores. So, I have my character sheet here. I instantly go down. What am I going to take? Well, first one. So I'm going to take Arcana and History, right? I want to be able to make these rolls for the party without seeming like I'm metagaming and overpowering them, right? I want to be the type of character who's going to approach something, and then because we're going to play a low-level game, a teaching game and stuff, I can at least still make these checks, and it's in line for my character. I can be interested by these facts that we come across, I can make these history checks, I can make these arcana checks, and I can guide them. Basically, what I want to do is I want to be a part of their party that's going to guide them through the adventure that we're playing. Now, I didn't know what game we were going to be playing. I didn't know if we'd be running a module. It's fine. DM doesn't always have to tell you exactly what it is you'll be doing and what you'll be playing, because then you could meta for it. I agree with that choice. However, knowing that I'd be wanting to act as a guide role for the new players, I chose the background to go along with my knowledge cleric. I chose the background of being a guild artisan, but particularly the Cartographer's Guild artisan. So this would give me the skill proficiencies of Insight and Persuasion. So those are 2 more things that I wanted to have. Again, being a guide, I really wanted Insight, and Persuasion is just nice to have, but Insight is another thing that I can do to do checks when I feel without, again, just giving more examples of social interaction is what Insight can do with Arcana and History and all those kinds of things. So again, I will also get my Artisan tools, which in this case I was taking the Cartographers. So you take your guild business, you can see you get your guild business down here, cartographers, surveyors, and chart makers. Essentially, my character was going to be someone who's fascinated with reading all about lore, reading all about the world, remembering little details about things, and going around and map making to make a living, right? He needs to know, it helps him be a guide, right? I'm very interested in where we're going. I will go with anybody as long as I can take my tools and I can make maps. Perfect for dungeon delving, which I'm pretty sure what you always want to start with someone at a level 1. You want to make sure they get into that dungeon. You want to make sure they get into the cave. You want to make sure they're doing something where it's going to be exploration, where you can put most of the effort on the other players, the ones who are learning, to guide the table, to guide the narrative. So we go down to humans. We want variant human traits. If your campaign uses the optional feat rules from Chapter 5, your Dungeon Master might allow you to use these variant traits, all of which replace the human's ability score increase trait. Ability score increase, 2 different of your ability scores we're going to get by +1. You gain proficiency in 1 skill of your choice, and you gain 1 feat of your choice. Now, going along with this guide, I check my character sheet. Well, I've got Persuasion, I've got Perception, I've got Insight, I've got Medicine for being a cleric, I've got Religion for being a cleric. So what else do I want? Well, I've got Arcana and History. So perfect. That lays out everything I take. That's what I take for my skill of choice. Now I go to my feat section to flesh out my character. The Keen Mind feat. You have a mind that can track time, direction, and detail with uncanny precision. You gain the following benefits. Again, goes really well with the chart maker here. I'm going to be a cartographer. You increase your ability score by 1 to a maximum of 20. You always know which way is north. You always know the number of hours left before the next sunrise or sunset. You can accurately recall anything you have seen or heard within the past month. That is what I really want to know. Right there, right? Being a cartographer, I want to be able to accurately recall everything. Being someone who's going to be a guide for the party, someone who's going to try to assist new players, keep them away from... This is my gift to being meta-knowledge, to have my character at least try to attempt to convey rules, make suggestions, all those kind of things while staying in character, while also teaching someone how to play. It's perfect. This is what I needed. Keen mind is all I want. Now that I've got my character completely laid out, you'll notice one thing. I don't care or mention stats at all. Did you see that? I built an entire character I don't care about what my stats are. I don't really care where my ability score bonuses go to. I don't care about any of those other things. I'm not going to do point buy. I'm not going to do any of those things. It's all secondary, and I don't care, right? The main thing that D&D is, it's a storytelling system, right? You never know what you're going to get out of it because the DM's always going to have final say, or they should. That really should be printed in the DM's guide, or really should be printed in the DM's or the player's handbook for this one D&D. The DM can do whatever it is they want. They're conveying a story to you. Now, I know also that the DM that I played with, who was going to be running this game, uses a way of getting skills. It's fun. It's a fun way. That's also one of the reasons why I know I don't have to worry about skills. It's also one of the things that has trained me to never really min-max, because I never know what it is I'm going to get out of it. How this DM always runs his skills, everybody's going to get 4d6 to roll. We usually have, 4 or 5 players plus the DM is 6. Otherwise, the DM rolls twice, or however it is to get 6. Everybody just rolls those 4 numbers. That creates a pool, and then you just distribute your scores in those 6 stats. That's how I ended up with, this character ended up being a 10 strength, a 12 dexterity, a 10 constitution, a 16 intelligence, an 18 wisdom, and an 11 charisma. Very average, mediocre, not super great. I got 1 plus 4 and 1 plus 3. Everything else was a 0 or a 1. Fine, right? I don't need to min-max stuff. Now let's look at this playtest. We just need to make this, use these new things to incorporate, to make this character pretty much exactly the same. Is it possible to make this character exactly the same with this new playtest stuff? I would hope so, right? It's called 1D&D. Should incorporate everything from 5th edition. Should be very easy to do this. I'll give feedback on what I actually think about this playtest material right now. I think it's fine. I think it does a good way of suggesting that you really should pick your class first and all those other things before you try to min-max all your stats, but there are plenty of people who are just going to min-max. I don't like playing with people who do that, but it's fine. If that's what's important to you, that your character is the best person at the table, then that's fine. Now, the other thing that the most common complaint that I've seen is the flying race, the Ardling. They are crazy to even put. I don't know why you'd want angelic flight, but the Ardling here, when you choose this race, you just get angelic flight. As a bonus action, you sprout spectral wings for a moment and fly up to a number of feet equal to your speed. If you are in the air at the end of this movement, you fall if nothing is holding you aloft. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus as long as you regain all expended, and you gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So, that's the Ardling. On itself, not that big of a deal. I mean, there was already Arakoa, so not that big of a deal. Those already existed in 5e. What is an interesting concept, however, is this concept of children of different humanoid kinds. If you'd like to play a child of mixed blood, right, that's what this is, you choose 2 race options that are humanoid to represent your parents. Then you determine which of those race options provides your game traits, which is size, speed, and special traits. You can then mix and match visual characteristics, color, ear shape, and the like of the 2 options. So, for example, if your character has a halfling and a gnome parent, you might choose halfling for your game traits, and then decide your character has the pointed ears that are characteristics of a gnome. So, humanoid. Are Ardlings humanoid? Well, let's go to Ardling here. Ardling, creature type, humanoid. Indeed, they are. So, what does that mean? It means you can mix and match Ardling with any race you want now. Now, min-maxing here, what you're going to do is you're going to be a half-blooded Ardling. Everybody, there's no reason to not be a half-blooded Ardling. Why don't you just be a mix? Half Ardling, half whatever, and then just have the characteristics of the other half you wanted to play. Say you wanted to be a Dragonborn. Just be half Dragonborn, half Ardling. Choose the Ardling traits, or be half human, half Ardling. Choose the Ardling traits, and you're going to get these angelic flight. You're just going to get wings, which is just crazy to me. And then you can just look like humans, or look like orcs, or look like anything that you wanted to look like, but you're just going to have wings. Why you would introduce this into the core player's handbook, so anybody can just do this with these variant rules, is kind of crazy. Kind of nuts. So that's one. I don't like Ardling like whatsoever. But let's look at what we need. We need to be a human. So we're going to be human. We're going to be resourceful. We gain inspiration whenever we finish the long rest. Neat. They've changed the inspiration rules. Inspiration still just gives you advantage. Fine. Resourceful, or skillful. You gain proficiency in one skill of your choice. Fine. That will just replace the other thing that I already... it was already a variant human trait anyway, so I don't need to worry about it. Versatile. You gain the skilled feat or another first level feat of your choice. So let's go ahead and let's look at the first level feats. Can we recreate the character that I made with first level feats? So we have alert. Alert's been changed. You're always on the lookout for danger. You gain the following benefits. Initiative proficiency. When you roll for initiative, you can add your proficiency bonus to the roll. Initiative swap. That's neat. We don't really want alert. The thing here is to notice is they don't call this an initiative check. They have made a pretty big deal about checks now, where everything is just called a check, regardless of what you're doing. It's going to, whenever you roll a d20, that's going to be a check. I guess proficiency is not going to be an initiative check. So I don't, initiative proficiency, I guess initiative doesn't involve that. I don't know why it's not called whenever you make an initiative check. But whenever you roll initiative, fine. We have crafter here. That's not what we need. Healer. That's also not what we need. Lucky, that's not what we need. Magic Initiate, that's not what we need. Musician, that's not what we need. Savage Attacker, that's also not what we need. Skilled, am I going to be skilled? That's also not what I need here. What's Tavern Brawler? Tough. Hey, I picked a feat out of this book that I just wanted to know which way was north, and I always wanted to recall what it was that I read. Now, if you've played a lot of D&D, most DMs literally don't care about those two things that I wanted. All I wanted to do was know which way was north, know when the sunset was going to be, sunrise was going to be, and be able to recall things that I've written down. I wanted the role-playing aspects of that feat, right? That's all I wanted from that feat. That feat, however, gave a stat bonus. It gave a +1 to something. What does that mean? It means it's probably not a level 1 feat. Why? Because, a stat bonus is pretty good, I guess. So let's just ruin role-playing by making sure that min-maxers can't get access to a stat bonus at level 1. Really? That's the path you want to walk down? You want to make sure that you're not getting stat bonuses at level 1. Why are feats gated now to levels? That reminds me of 3.5. 3.5 had a lot of proficiency, or a lot of feats. All, like, feat tracks. I remember when you had to make a ranger, you had to go down, like, precision, multi-shot feat. You needed all these feats just to shoot into cover, just to shoot into your allies and not hit them. You needed, like, 3 feats down. It was pretty ridiculous. It was like precise shot, precision shot, or something like that. And there was like rapid shot, multi-shot, cover shot. There's all these different shots, right? No, it's not good that you're making... I wanted to roleplay a character, but you decided that the roleplay elements of that feat don't matter. What really matters is the skill bonus that you're gaining from it. That 1 point into a base ability makes it not a level 1 feat. Now, we haven't seen level 2 feats, but I'm assuming that that's what it is. Because of that skill point increase, I don't get to play that feat. Everything else, however, just is normal. Picking a human, I get my 1 extra skill, I get everything, I get extra inspiration, pretty much get everything I wanted except for the 1 feat, the one thing that I needed to make the character, do what it wanted to do. Luckily, as you should with any, game, the DM just let me have that feat with that thing and I don't get the stat bonus. I don't care if I get the stat bonus. Who cares? Doesn't matter to me. But that's why they should always say the DM has final rule say over things like that. Overall, 1D&D is a very interesting concept. Great. I enjoyed. It was very easy to pick up. Handed out these worksheets to everybody. It was, or handed out the sheets to everybody easily. Very easily implemented. No one even knew. They bought their players' handbooks and everything to come play with us and stuff. Didn't matter to them at all that we use this playtest material. It's so easy. It's just fine. The fact that people don't like it because it seems like it's simplifying the game is so odd to me, because 5th edition is the easiest D&D has ever been, and now if they're streamlining it a little bit, that doesn't make the game worse. Seriously, try playing a harder version of D&D. You'll love 5th. So those were my opinions on the 1D&D playtest that was released during this marketing stunt to get people to go to D&D Beyond. I thought it was great. I actually like all these changes. The Ardlink thing is pretty much my main complaint with it. I love the fact that the game's getting streamlined. I do a lot of like board game coverage, more so on my channel and stuff. This is the first D&D video I've done, but board games, the rules matter, right? There's a lot of things that the board game, because you're playing it and you need to live in that world, and no one can moderate it, right? Unless it's a board game that has a DM. But so the rules need to be tight, so you know how to play and you know how to keep yourself in line. The D&D rules don't matter that much. The point of it is to tell a story. The point of it is to role play. The point of it is to just have fun, and a DM just makes sure that everybody's having fun, everyone's engaged, everyone's getting equal spotlight time, everyone's getting the same amount of enjoyment out of everything. And you can do that because you have a mediator. The DM can run the game in the way that they can facilitate the most fun as possible. They can ignore rules if they want to, just to make sure the tables continues to have a great time. So rules, despite what I may appear when I play like Kingdom Death and things, when it comes to D&D and tabletop RPGs, I don't care that much about the rules, right? That's not the point of the game. So if a version is going to be streamlined, that's great. The only thing I worry about is it's going to become bloated like 3.5. There are hundreds of actual legit supplement books for 3.5. I'm talking ones that were printed by Wizards. There's a lot of supplement books for 5th edition because of the open gaming license, where anybody could just print books for the system that they want. You could buy third-party books. But I don't see 1D&D going on forever. That seems like a pipe dream. What that is just a way, because 5th edition is the most popular, D&D is the biggest it's ever been right now. And you don't want to push those players away by saying it's a new edition. So just tell them that, yeah, everything you've already bought is all going to hold up. Everything's still going to be great. Just make sure you come to D&D Beyond and you start buying our PDFs and you start buying our table thing and you start buying the minis and you buy the feats one at a time for $2 or whatever it is, or a book. The book you can buy for $2. You can get all the feats from this one book that was a supplement. There's once it gets bloated, that's my theory, or my greatest fear for 1D&D, that it becomes super bloated like Pathfinder and 3.5. Other than that, I think 1D&D will be great for the game. I think streamlining is fine. I think it's a welcome thing to do. Just remove Ardling, please.